30. He separates. He's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. Warwick got up third down.
Winky looking Winky. Wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open. Touchdown. He did a touchdown. He did catch it. Touchdown, Florida State. Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that?
Kermit Whitfield to the left side. A hole to the 30. Kermit Whitfield to the 30. To the 20. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown up and down. Kermit Whitfield. A 100-yard touchdown.
Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other.
It's caught. It's caught. It's caught.
Oh, for the end zone battle. Coleman. Touchdown.
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
A very special edition of the Garden and Old Show. We had some news today. Vince, how are you today?
Happy New Year, Ryan. It is a great start to the year. After kind of an interesting ending to the year, it's a great start to the year. This is Garnet and Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem.
Vince, I'm going to let you take the first crack at the name in the official announcement here. What did we just learn about 10 minutes ago?
I have been working on this ever since he visited because I had a pretty good idea that this is what was going to happen. DJ Uiagalelei has committed to Florida State and will be our probably starter for next year as we bridge the gap between Jordan Travis and Brock Glenn / Luke Cromenhawk. So for those of you out there that have been trying to figure out how to say the name, it's DJ Uiagalelei.
Now, I will, from here on out, just call him DJ because that's how we get down here. I don't want to mess up his name or besmirch his last name. But Vince, this comes off the heels of Cam Ward finally announcing. We had some insinuation last night that likely he was going to go to the NFL. And I think it was coming down between Florida State and the NFL. All the Miami fans, one specifically that we like to follow just for entertainment value. Miami really thought that they were going to get Cam Ward, and instead they don't get Cam Ward and we get DJ, which means right now they don't get anyone yet. I did hear that they're pursuing some other quarterbacks that have entered since then, but Vince, right off the cuff, how are you feeling? I mean, what's your thoughts on DJ?
I mean, he's a good fit. I think he's a good fit from a leadership perspective. I think he is. He's not brittle. I don't want to, indicate that Jordan was brittle. That's not what I'm saying at all. I mean, what happened in Jordan was a fluke. But DJ's a big guy, so he's unlike the stature of some of the quarterbacks we've had recently in our tenure, right? So because Jordan wasn't huge. Heaven knows the Slim Reaper wasn't a big guy, right? So DJ is a big guy, big arm, talented. He is well-traveled. He had kind of a turnaround season last year. His first couple years at Clemson were marred by coaching changes and that kind of thing. And when you have coaching changes when you're early in your career, those things can tend to derail you, right? So, or when you're pressed into duty before you're ready. So I think what he's going to bring is stability with some, real positive upside. He can push the ball down the field for sure.
Yeah, I get excited about the frame more than the body of work so far. And we all love Jordan Travis, but my man was consistently, especially up until this past year, coming up, shoulder hanging after getting a hit that sometimes didn't even look that bad, or if he got tackled the wrong way. And what you get out of DJ, and I'm going to use this pronunciation here. Thank you, Jim, for pronouncing this. Uiagalelei, right?
Uiagalelei. Yeah,
Yeah.
Uiagalelei. So if you're going to use the emphasis, Uiagalelei.
So I'm putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
That is correct. And so was I. But I I had to get the phonetics down first and foremost, and then I can transition to actually pronouncing it maybe like his family would. So Uiagalelei.
Now, what you get out of him though is a sturdy frame. And listen, I know most of our fan base, I would say, only remembers DJ from his time at Clemson because we were, saw them play because they were in our conference, and
Mhm.
might have not been that impressed with his performance. He had some good games against us. Some of
Who
his
didn't?
best performances were against Florida State, but the big takeaway there was even after he left, the quarterback play was subpar the following year at Clemson. So he transfers to Oregon State, and he actually puts up really good numbers. In fact, Vince, this past year he put up numbers pretty on par with what Jordan Travis is putting up this past year.
Yeah, Oregon State had their offense. I think they top 25, I guess. And I think I read somewhere that he had his highest QBR rating last year. So he's on the upward swing. I think like we said at the beginning, his time at Clemson, it's just like bad timing for him to be there with the coaching changes and all that kind of stuff. But I think Florida State got better today and got better in a big way. I was pretty impressed with what Brock Glenn showed in the scrimmage a few days ago. Um, but that doesn't mean he was, ready to headline the
Right.
team next year. Um, so yeah, I'm very happy with this. I would have been happy with this had they made the call immediately after he visited. But they had to wait for Cam Ward to decide what he was going to do, and Cam Ward decided to go test the waters in the pros. And yeah, Jim's saying here, Ward to the NFL, KJ. Yeah, I think Miami was looking at KJ Jefferson too. And he is now going to UCF. Maybe Will Howard, or is it Will Howard?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. Ohio State. So I don't know what Miami's going to do, and frankly, I don't care. But it's great. So I saw you put up there too, Ryan. Jeremy's. You're just a week off, Ryan.
Yeah, now to be fair, in that prediction, I didn't mention a specific quarterback.
No, I know you did.
But
I don't want to rehash
but
it. I just think it's funny he brought it
in
up.
every
That's all.
show we have talked that both you and I predicted it
Yeah.
would be DJ. We said this almost a month ago that we thought what it's going to end up being is DJ, just because listen, DJ made it overwhelmingly clear that he wanted to come to Florida State. So
Yeah.
much so that he allowed reports to be out there, apparently directly from people in the know with him, that he understands if Cam Ward is not going to FSU, that he's the kind of, I mean, in unfortunate, I feel bad for the kid because I'm sure he was sitting there like knowing the backup plan. But I think Mike Norvell and the coaching staff have shown one thing, is that they are brutally honest with players. If I were to guess, I would say Mike Norvell said, "Hey, listen, we like you. We think you have a lot of measurables. We think you would fit well in the system, but we do want to evaluate all the options, and we will call you if we decide that you're the best option." And it was the best option once Cam Ward went to the NFL. I don't know exactly what you think as far as how do you think it was kind of deliver that message to DJ, because I assume they don't want to insult him saying, "Yeah, we'll give you a call if the other one doesn't work out." How do you think that was handled?
I'll tell you what I would love, Ryan, because I would love to spend some time with Norvell to ask him specific questions like that. Right? Forget about football. Just think about from a leadership perspective. How do you frame that? What are the words that you use? What are the, because that goes a long way. They were waiting for Cam Ward to make up his mind what he was going to do. And so DJ has to know that if DJ was their first pick, then they would have already made the decision. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, what are those words that you say? You like, we love you. We think you'd be great here, but we have to do our due diligence and look at everybody.
Yeah.
Right. I hope you're okay with that. And it has, hopefully the end result is what we all need. what you need as a player and what we need as a team. And it worked out. DJ could have said, I'm not gonna wait. But I think DJ really wanted to come to Florida State because I think he understands, and he's said it, that this staff can take him to the next level.
And we need a little pickup today because let's be honest, the playoff games are today. I saw on the Alabama Michigan game here, just a few hours away now. And I was kind of like, man, it should have been us. Like, it should have been us. And it sucks that it wasn't. And then we had the horrible, horrible bowl game. And there's just a lot of feelings, just overall negativity, just feeling like a little bit down. So what's great about this is now we have something exciting to talk about. And now we have some potential other things we'll get to in a second that
Yeah.
could domino. I think a lot of other portal players
Well, we said this, right?
were waiting to see where the chips fell. Let's say Cam Ward had gone to Miami. You might have seen a player or two say, man, Miami sounds like they're going to be, okay, he goes to the NFL instead. Now, okay, the main one that people are talking about, DJ, oh, he's going to Florida State. And now all of a sudden you see some potential dominoes falling in line afterwards. So I would think you would hear a increased portal news, I guess, around the clock over the next week of other players, very talented players that could potentially end up at Florida State.
Yeah, think about this. So we all know that Florida State drives numbers, right? Whether it's good or bad. Florida State's doing well, they're going to drive the numbers. The clicks are going to be there. Florida State gets snubbed for the pageant, it drives the numbers. And we all have been living this roller coaster ride. So then, the scrimmage happens. And I had already turned the page on this season personally as a fan. Like I thought the score would be a little more respectable if a couple of the defensive players had we not found out at the last minute that they were not going to play, right? But that scrimmage had nothing to do with anything other than just getting people some experience, right? So what we're all waiting for is for the rest of the college football world to turn the page on Florida State, right? And they're having a hard time. Of course, rival fans are just going to continue to pile on with 63-3 and all this other stuff that doesn't really matter.
Right.
The positive news comes out today. I think that is a fantastic time to put it out there. The pageant is going on, and what's something that's showing up front page right now is DJ making the decision to commit to Florida State. And I think, like you said, there are going to be some other dominoes that fall relatively quickly as it pertains to that.
Vince, I want to get into something real quick. Speaking of dominoes, we have just heard word in the last hour that Nick Scorton, the very talented edge player from Ohio State, from Purdue.
Yeah.
Get my players mixed up, from Purdue. He had 2 visits scheduled, Florida State and Louisville. Well, he has this afternoon canceled his Louisville visit.
Right.
Read the tea leaves here, guys. You kind of get where I'm going with this. Florida State now is the only school he's visiting.
That's not true. I don't think. I think that he's also going to possibly Texas A&M and Ohio State, but it's later. It's later this week. So there was a top 5. Now I think there's a top 4. I think Louisville's now out of it. But
I have a feeling
I may be wrong about that.
Announcement today and him canceling the Louisville visit are connected. It's hard not to read into it.
I'm okay with that. And if you are an edge player that's ready to break out to the next level, and be coached by a staff that is known now for taking edge players and kicking them up a notch, I mean, here we go. This is the place to go, right? Florida State is the place to go.
Yeah, Jim says Texas A&M, FSU, Missouri, Nick Scorton. Now, listen, I think if you are looking purely, even if you take off the FSU fan color glasses, if you're looking at, man, what have edge transfers done at what each of these schools, you would overwhelmingly say Florida State has developed and produced top-tier NFL talent.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But I think he's from an area near Texas A&M though. I'm not quite sure about that. So there could be some hometown pull there if I'm remembering that correctly. Under DJ, under Norvell's development, will be a top 5 QB. It's possible, right? I mean, they do not put out um, scrubs when it comes to that position. And he's got the ability, he's got experience, and he is going to be totally bought in and focused this season.
Yeah, he's gonna be
He's
all
got
in
1 year.
last year.
He's got 1 year all in. And so, yeah, I'm excited about it. And I was excited about it after his visit because of the types of things he was saying.
And this makes me excited about the increased, what I feel is an increased percentage of a certain Texas A&M wide receiver being
Mhm.
interested in Florida State. It increases my hope for a certain running back that we've recently heard might be interested in Florida State. So this could really, really start the surge of the portal news that all of us, guys, we've been listening to the same reports all of you have, that Florida State has been in contact, serious contact, with multiple elite talent players. And people keep asking, well, what's the holdup here? Dominoes waiting to fall. Someone wants to go to a team, they want to transfer to a team that's going to be likely successful, unless you're a player just looking for playing time and you were going to get passed up. But if you're an elite prospect, you don't want to transfer to a team that's going to go 6-6 next year. And so when you get a talent like DJ going to Florida State, and then let's say hypothetically we get the Purdue transfer, well, all of a sudden other players go, sign me up for that. And they already know the history of Florida State's success with transfers. Before you know it, Vince, I think this could end up being Mike Norvell's best transfer class.
It could. And when you're talking about when players are looking for their next home, and we all live in this portal world now, and whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter, right? We all live in it. Not only are players looking for, a coaching staff they like, right? And they're looking for a position fit, and all that. But I also truly believe they also want to go to a program that draws eyeballs, especially the later these players get in their career. Again,
Yeah.
I keep going back to it, and it doesn't matter what any rival says. It doesn't matter what the conference that we're in says. When Florida State, I mean, look at how many times we were on the prime spot this past season, right?
Yes.
And now, because of the controversy of this past year, even more so. I mean, Ireland is going to be
Nuts.
a circus. It is going to be a circus, and whoever comes to Florida State, whether they're high school recruits or people coming from the portal, rest assured that they are going to have prime time viewing of their abilities week in and week out.
Ken McBride writes in, DJU didn't even consider being at other schools. He sold on being a no. Yeah, that's one of the things that Vince and I talked about in the Garden Old Show, which, by the way, every Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern time, live, we do a show weekly. We had said that there is something good feeling about having a guy effusively praise FSU and saying, like, essentially, that's where I want to go. And until I hear from that school that they, for whatever reason, want to go in a different direction, that's where I'm going, essentially. And then if they do tell me it's not going to happen, then I'll look and consider other options. But it does add something when a player is like, no, that's where I really want to go, not just whatever NIL is the best, or, something like that. It feels good, right?
It does, and I don't want to equate it to like a relationship, but it's kind of like that. Like how many we all grew up, and when you're younger, there's this girl or this guy that you like, but you don't want them to know that you like you, so you kind of beat around the bush. But you just like, no, man, I want to be there. I love that kind of honesty, right? And I think the coaches have that kind of honesty as well. I think he's going to bring that kind of buy-in and passion because he absolutely wanted to be here from the get-go. And I'm excited about that. I don't know what Miami's going to do. There will be other quarterbacks available. I saw somebody was trolling Miami earlier today saying that Van Dyke hadn't signed his paperwork yet with Wisconsin and he might be possibly going back to Miami, which is totally false because he's actually on the Wisconsin sideline, with the jersey on. But I thought that was funny. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do.
One thing I do want to, Jim writes, boys, I believe you will be having a few shows this week. Hopefully, what Jim is
Hopefully.
inferring is that we get a couple portal announcements that are big enough for us to do a show. Now, we're not going to do a show for any old transfer, but these days, when
I
you are
will.
Florida State coming off a 13-0 regular season and all the transfers that we've had come in and do so well, you are competing for the very, very best players in the portal. And so when we get announcements this week, which I do believe, if you were to, I'd say it's more likely than not we get another big announcement this week from the portal. We will for certain have some sort of show or reaction or something like that. So good call, Jim. Vince, I do want to get your take. Do you think DJs want to come to FSU? I'm sure he likes what he's seen from Norvell and has heard good things in the relationship and all that. Do you get a sense that him getting to play against Clemson was kind of a thing for him?
I don't know. I mean, we as fans have that kind of feeling, but I don't know that players do. I mean, I'm sure there are some that do. And I don't think he's going to shy away from it. I think he looks as that as a possible perk of it, but I don't think that was, part and parcel to him making the decision. By the way, there are over almost 100 people watching right now. If you want to jump in the comments, please do. Pull them. We'll put them up on the screen if you have a question or whatever. As we've said, Ryan and I, Florida State draws the eyeballs. There are so many shows out there for Florida State, which I love. Ryan and I watch them all, and we're happy that everybody's here. So if you have any comments, drop them in here. Jim, I'm going to have a hard time with your last name. It's not as hard as Uiagalelei, but Munir maybe. He basically saying Battle's End is bringing back the entire O-line. Yeah, I started seeing those tweets today too, as well, from the Battle's End about re-upping Darius Washington, and I saw a thing for Pat Payton. Yes, DJ has officially committed to Florida State. It happened in the last hour or so, I believe. So that's a question we just got there. Oh, good. Thank you, Jim.
Tarif Knockout just tweeted out NFL ? But I thought Cam Ward they had Rick Ross on the visit. I thought Cam.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's fantastic.
So since we've got some time here, I know we were just going to talk about portal stuff, but do you want to jump into any other topics here, Ryan?
Yeah. So you got to do a little instant reaction for the bowl game. So what?
You keep calling it that. You can't call it a game, brother.
To give people an idea of my mindset and where I was there, I sat down with my wife and my dad and his girlfriend, and I said, okay, guys, just be prepared for anything that may come. And then if this thing gets out of hand, let's go to dinner.
It's going to be dark, Ryan, at that point.
I got excited for about a half a second because that deep throw by Brock that almost was a touchdown. And I'm like, okay, if they punch this in here, hey, it's a touchdown game. And that's, better than nothing. I was hoping we get to halftime down 10 or something like that, And then we didn't punch it in there. And then George just went touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And I think I turned off the TV and we went and had Korean, which was delicious, when it was, I think, 35-3. And when we left the house, it was 35-3. When we got to the restaurant, which wasn't that far away, I said, hey, Echo, what's the score of the Florida State game? And it said like 49-3. And I'm like, well, okay. And I didn't, Vince, it's the only time of any FSU game ever I don't intend on watching a replay. I don't want to go on YouTube. It's flushed down the toilet in my memory. It was BS. Kirby Smart, even I do give Kirby Smart credit for in the post game saying like this was a farce. Like we got a college football, not Florida State, but college football needs to figure this out and how to make this work because it's going to keep happening. Which when your opposing coach that you played in the bowl game is saying that, there's a problem with the sport. I mean, he even said like, I want the world to take note of like This is
what
a
happened
problem.
here tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I appreciated that, even though I didn't appreciate him, doing play action passes up 63 points. But
Hey, man,
hey, run your
it's our
offense.
job to stop them, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
we don't need to belabor the point, because the only reason I wanted to bring that up is because after the game, or towards the end of the game, I had texted Ryan and said, "Hey, do you want to do a post game show?" And I got crickets. There was nothing there. So I did a post game walking out of the stadium, Doak South. I was walking out and did a quick, whatever post game or post scrimmage. And then I got a text from Ryan about 2 hours later saying, "I don't think I can do a post game." It's like, "Ryan, I already did it." Like, he was so disconnected from the whole thing. He had no idea what was even going on. But let's move on back to the portal. We've got a question here from Rodney Ward. Do we have any linebacker portal players we're looking for? I haven't seen specific names.
You sure hope so.
I mean, but man, we have to, right? I mean, in my opinion, there are a couple things that have to happen here, and it's not just going to get the players. We've got to figure out the linebacker and defensive line recruiting.
And
That has
coaching,
got
potentially.
that's got to get figured out, man, because um, we've done pretty well with plugging the holes as we've needed to do, but this staff is a good coaching staff and they're a good developmental staff, but you got to get the clay. You've got to get the clay to mold it. And they have not done well enough recruiting the high school ranks there. And you saw that play out in that scrimmage, right? Um, our first team could play with anybody in the country and probably even win a national title.
Yeah.
But once those players that was no longer on the table and that was ripped from them, our depth is not where it needs to be. That comes from stacking top 5 classes year after year after year, and that's what George has done. So we've got to figure that out. But the only thing I've seen in terms of linebacker, I know that Gator linebacker went into the portal yesterday.
Yeah.
What's his name? Scooby Doo. But I don't know if that's even possible. That's the only name that I've seen that's not related to Florida State at all.
Yeah. I would like to see a coaching change at the linebackers position. I think it's time you get a guy who can recruit the position. You can't be at a school like Florida State and us have terrible linebackers. And I felt so bad, and I know you did, Vince. We both have hearts. Like, we're not the fans that like everyone's a mercenary and we don't care about. We care about the players.
Yeah,
and it was
absolutely
hard for me to see Deloach, man. Like, I felt for him, and it sucked.
Yeah, it did. I actually, during the post game or post scrimmage that I was doing, Rob Deloach, his dad, walked by me. I was going to try and grab him to say hi, and he saw me and waved and walked by. But what a family, what a player, what a Knoll. He'll always be one of my all-time favorites now, right? Bokeem Smith says, "Do you think we need to pursue a solid offensive coordinator? Our play calling is predictable at times." I would say no to that, and here's why. I'm not just going to say no. I'm going to tell
We're
you.
top 10 offense every year.
We are, even when we're banged up, we're top 25. And the things that are predictable are predictable. They were predictable because of our injury problems, right? So, but when I go back to it, saying we need to stack these classes. When you start stacking those classes, especially in the trenches, if someone goes down, you don't run into the problems that we had, which is now we can no longer run the ball at all, right? So, and then, if you can't run the ball at all because your offensive line is banged up, and you're also starting, your third string quarterback who wasn't even supposed to be playing in that championship game, and you run the ball because you're worried about, you just want him to manage the game, right? So if you look at what was happening at the beginning of the season, that's what's possible.
Yeah.
The things that were happening toward the end of the season are the things we had to cobble together because of the injuries that again, Ryan and I are not at practices and whatever. So, but we listen to enough people and watch enough things to know that the team was much more injured than what the normal fan understands,
Hmm.
right? And so I don't think we need to pursue that, but that's for the coaches to decide. I think they're perfectly happy when they have the talent on the field that's healthy, that they can do what they need to do.
Yeah, what we do need to figure out though next year is getting back to running the ball effectively. Um, that was the one actual, and we'll actually have an episode I think in the off season about biggest highs and biggest lows from the season. And one of my biggest lows was I expected the running game to be elite this year, and it
Mhm.
just wasn't. And that was shocking to me, being that we always last couple years it's been like we've been spoiled with how good it's been. So that's another topic for another day. But I also
Yeah.
think if DJ comes in, I think he will do better in a system that's balanced and not totally reliant on him.
Yeah.
Now, I am excited what he opens up from the RPO standpoint. He can run the ball forward. Like he likes to do a lot of dive on the RPOs where he just runs straight forward, and he's so big he just
Powerful,
falls forward.
powerful runner.
Yeah, he drove
Yeah.
us crazy when he played against us.
Caden's dad. Caden's dad. So Caden, your dad is here commenting. Linebacker from USC and defensive tackle from Colorado State are going to be visiting. That's great. I mean, I just don't know the names, right? So I assume they are, and if they're not, then we have a bigger problem in the recruiting
Yeah,
in the linebacker realm than we even think.
I want to address something here in a second.
Yeah,
Zendale writes, I believe we need a real offensive coordinator. Alex is cool, but not an offensive coordinator. So to be clear, he's an offensive coordinator in name only. He's calling the plays to the players on the field, but Mike Norvell is the offensive coordinator. Mike Norvell's
yeah,
playbook. It's very similar to Jimbo Fisher having, an offensive coordinator this past year. It was still Jimbo Fisher's offense. So if you were getting a new offensive coordinator for the sake of you wanting some changes on the offense, it would be to take Mike away from calling plays and being away from that side of the ball. So Alex, um, that title for offensive coordinator was to keep him here and develop him instead, because you could have lost him to another team.
yeah. I think it's more than that though, because I think when as fans we think about offensive coordinator, we only think about game day because people think about play calls. But offensive coordinators are doing the coordinating through all the practicing, through all the install, through I mean, it's more than just game day. Um, and so while Alex Atkins is the offensive coordinator, that's the majority of his job, right? Is coordinating the offense day in and day out. Then when the game day comes, they have a good idea of the plays they're going to call. And I, until proven otherwise, Mike Norvell is an elite play caller. He just is. And I don't know who you would get to be better than him. There's not many out there that are better than him. So I would look more toward the problems on the defensive side of the ball with certain positions. That's where I would focus. Maybe some coaching changes for the future. Cooper Coop says, "Hey, another 5-star wide receiver just hit from Ohio State. Just hit the portal. Hey, if you want to, you've got Johnny Wilson, right? Came in, got developed. He was much better upon leaving than when he came in.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman already had an elite year, right? So yeah, Florida State has shown that wide receivers can come in and succeed at a high level. So yeah, I think Florida State is in play for whoever they feel would fit and who's going to come in the budget. I mean, because let's face it, there's limited money for every school. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe not every school, but for most schools, there's limited money, and so you've got to piece the parts together and still
Mhm.
come in financially responsible.
I know we had 25 players out, and we have no room to talk from a corporate situation. But Ohio State did not have a lot of players out. And they had just had a different quarterback. But man, that Mizzou game, yeah, it was a tough watch for Ryan Day. From what I've seen on the Ohio State side, but Ryan Day is not that popular with the fans. And I'm interested to see how that situation unfolds over the coming years.
Yeah, they've got quarterback problem too, right? So,
Hmm.
Sean Franz says, "Do you think Brock will enter the portal?" No, I don't think so. I think Brock knows um, he's got a year ahead of Luke, like a year in the system ahead of Luke. Um, and I think, um, bringing DJ in, I think the coaching staff believes that DJ would be the starter, but we still have to go through, you know, off season and tour of duty
Yeah.
and spring like we all that has to happen. And if Brock ends up beating out DJ, then he does.
Yeah.
This coaching staff is going to play the player that's going to give them the best chance to win.
I do think, Vince, just talking from right now with knowing nothing from the spring or summer workouts, I definitely am feeling better about that Ireland game with a DJ as a quarterback versus a,
There's
you
no
know,
doubt.
yeah,
Just the experience of
the
it. Just
experience.
the
Yeah,
experience. Yeah.
he's played in top 5 game environments with packed stadiums and a lot of pressure, and then he's put up numbers last year. So you just feel more comfortable going into those big matchup games, knowing that you have a guy that this isn't his first big matchup. Yeah,
Whaley Shalom. I think people forget they went to see DJ and think DJ was more important than people. Yeah, I mean the coaching staff narrowed in on 2 guys. There were 2 guys, and they got one of the 2, right? And they were always going to get one of the
and
2.
the other one's not an option.
And the other one's not an option. So the coaching staff absolutely wants him, and that says all enough for me. So
It's a little
Dale
breaking
says
news right now.
Randy has to go. Dale, I don't disagree with you.
Patrick Payton has announced his partnership with the Battle's End Relationship for 2024.
Yep, that came out a little bit ago. Patrick Payton and also Darius Washington I saw too. So that's awesome. More of that.
Yeah, you
More
want
of
to keep
that.
these guys.
We got
What-
we got a 3-star Jim Munir is trying to push some players on us.
Do you want to be our recruiting analyst, Jim? Hop in the com. Man, you seem like a recruiting.
We got all the
hound here.
stats here. We got
I
all the
love it.
stats too. Hey, if the staff loves them, bring them. That's all I got to say.
I do like this comment right here from Kenneth. Kirby Smart is a class individual. He understood Mike's predicament, not having most of a starting team. Yeah, I said earlier in the show, I was very pleased that Kirby Smart didn't pretend like that didn't exist, and I give him a lot of credit for saying what he said.
Yeah. And he didn't have to do that.
He didn't.
Right. He didn't have to do that. I mean, he could have just, propped up the conference flag, and all that. He didn't have to do that, but he was honest about it, and I appreciate that. And I also don't fault him for continuing to score. He's going to let his guys play, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our job to stop them. And with our third team, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So, we've got a push here for Makai Danzy. Yeah, I'm excited about him. Hey, we just brought in a really elite class. So even though we missed out on KJ Bolden at the last minute, the class that we got is an elite class, man. And I'm excited for a lot of those guys. But remember, they're freshmen, right? So it's rare that a freshman is going to come in and set the world on fire.
Al Vasta says DJU signing will motivate other players to flourish. Yes, we agree.
Yeah.
Jim, clarify something for us. He covers indoor football, so he scouts lower level players. There you go.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, excellent. So I'm going to expect Jim to be on the hook here watching the show. So if we ever falter on not knowing who a guy is or what the measurables are, Jim is going to set us straight, which I'm perfectly fine with. I've never claimed to be a professional when it comes to that.
Derek writes, DJ is a great pickup. Please tell the coaches to get a linebacker, defensive tackle, and defensive end. Happy New Year, going. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's got to happen, right? I mean, again, I go back to say I have no problems with the way the coaches coach and develop people. but you have to have a clay to mold, and we just haven't. We've fallen by the wayside with that. In the last couple of years, the offensive line recruiting has gotten better,
Yeah.
but we're still lacking in the defensive line and the linebacking. So you got to figure that out, man. And we got to figure it out year upon year, not just a 1 year blip.
Well, folks, we do appreciate you all of you watching. Please, man, please hit that like button, because let me tell you what, growth has been insane with our channel. Hundreds every week live streaming, thousands viewing it later after the post goes on YouTube. Really, really want to appreciate all of you for watching. Vince and I are going to be working to get the show on Instagram and maybe even do some Twitter spaces. So keep an eye on that in the coming year. But please, please, please like and subscribe. And hey, we even love our hecklers.
I do too.
Timothy Brown
We're
writes,
not-
y'all still trash.
We are not one of those shows that's just going to put up, we'll put up some nonsense too. That's fine, Timothy. I don't know who you're a fan of, but that's what rivalries are all about. You can call us trash. We're 13-1 ACC champions, so enjoy.
Hey, more power to you. Thanks for watching, taking time to watch a Florida State YouTube show. Being that you're not a fan of us, that's awesome.
Absolutely, and bring your friends too. The more, the merrier. On New Year's Day, Florida State drives eyeballs, like we all know it.
It's so much fun, Vince.
It is
Marie
fun.
Smith also signed for the Battle's End. Yes.
Yeah, good. But like Ryan was saying, we have a show every Thursday at a minimum. We have a weekly show on Thursdays at 7, not just during the season. So it's going to continue on. Ryan and I are fans, like everybody in the chat here. So if you don't mind, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. It helps us out a lot. And like it, share it out, set your notifications so you know when we're going live, and let your friends know about it too. It would be great. Ryan and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, as we go forward into 2024, we want to do more things. If you ever have any ideas of maybe shows or ideas for shows you'd like to see, or maybe even ideas on talking points, post in the comments. You can tweet us. I'm at Big Papa East. Vince is at VCNO on X. So hey, send us a DM. Let us know what your thoughts are. If you have any suggestions, we'd love to continue and improve the channel. But thanks everyone for watching on this New Year's. Happy New Year to everyone joining, and I'm so excited for DJ to be part of the FSU family. And Vince, anything else to close it out?
I would just be looking for another portal show, because it's going to be happening soon. I believe there's going to be more stuff to talk about. So I'm not opposed to throwing up a show here at the last minute, as you've seen. So here we are. It's Garnet and Old. No inside info. No. Is this? We need to talk about this. Is this something?
I
can't wait to get to work. Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's exactly right. So, Garnet and Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. Go Noles, and like I always try to end the show with, send Chiefs all the damn time.
I'm gonna say go Noles and screw ESPN eternally.
Right.
Hey, in about an hour, I'm gonna hate watch the playoff. I am gonna watch the playoff game, Vince, but I'm hate watching because I want at this point Washington to win the national championship. That's who I'm pulling for, just for you guys. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Go Noles.
Happy New Year.
Look forward to the next year with all of you. Be well.
See you soon. Bye bye.